Hey guys, SK here, back with another Clash Royale video, and as you can see we are jumping right into the action, and we are joined once again by Betfas, one of your guys' favorite types of content here on the channel. Betfas is basically one of the best, if not the best, 3.0 Xbow Cycle player right now, just in the entire game. Because he has really good peaks, I guess. So he pushes really high on ladder. He's not necessarily always the #1 Xbow finisher, but also that's because I feel like some Xbow versions are definitely harder to use than others. Like 3.0 has definitely been a bit more difficult in the last few months compared to some Archer Queen versions, I'd say. But Betfas is basically consistently on top, even at the end of the season, although sometimes he pushes so high that he tries to go for like top 5 or top 10 as a ladder finish, and then maybe he tilts a little bit. But he is still amazing, and so I'm very glad to have him back on the channel right here. We're going to be spectating some of his live ladder gameplay right now. He is just a little bit over 8,000 trophies, I believe. So we're going to see how high he can go, and of course I will be commentating over as well. So yeah, I actually posted a video yesterday where I was not, I was actually pretty sick yesterday. Betfas gives a good game, but Tesla should clean up okay against the Giant, and then he can kite the Mega into the Tesla. I will be doing commentary over the gameplay, and just trying to give my own personal insight into Betfas' gameplay, because it's obviously amazing gameplay, but I know a lot of people do enjoy this type of video from me, since it's kind of like the best gameplay ever in terms of Xbow gameplay. I don't think you can get much better than this. And then I also do try and give some commentary. Really nice Xbow by Betfas actually right there, because he kind of knew that the Knight Archer would force something out in the right. Mega Minion comes down, but Betfas is definitely going to protect it here with Ice Spirit Skeletons. It's actually just going to be a huge connection. Miner comes down as well, but that damage is basically done. Betfas got so much. Actually going to go Knight at the bridge here, because his opponent here does not have a Dark Prince in Cycle, I think. And oh my god, goes Xbow when he goes for a Dark Prince, so he knew that he wouldn't have enough for it right away. Does get the Giant down this time, but that was just a masterclass in elixir counting and just punishing overall. And I actually believe Betfas will be able to outcycle the Giant right here. Yeah, and Telestre just cycled a lot, so he's not actually back to his Giant yet, and he's kind of low in elixir. Gets the Miner down late, and that's actually going to be GG pretty much. He gives the good luck. I guess he's upset. But wow, Betfas just insane. First game of the video, and he's already coming out here with some crazy, ridiculous punishes. So yeah, yesterday I did upload a non-commentary video. I have been pretty sick, but today I'm feeling a lot better, and so I am commentating again. Thank you guys for the support on that video, though, and of course I do enjoy commentary, but sometimes it's nice to take a break from it as well. Also, I wasn't really feeling up to it. But yeah, that's going to be a really nice win by Betfas, and that's going to put him at 8,007 trophies. Alright guys, so we are getting into the second match, and Betfas, like I said, was just over 8,000 trophies after that win, so 8,007. So we're going to see how high he can go. I thought he was a little bit over 8k, but it looks like he was just one under before I started recording. Into the next match against CMG Surge TS, and it definitely looks like a Royal Giant deck out of Surge TS right here, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be Royal Giant Lightning as well, since we do see the Archer Queen. It's not going to be the Skeleton King version, which is usually either Lightning or Fireball. These days, Royal Giant Cycle has pretty much exclusively been Lightning, which is worse for Xbow, of course, because obviously Fireball is easier to deal with. Lightning is just an easier counter against the Xbow, against the Tesla, and yeah, so there's going to be a pretty big push right here, but actually you'll notice that Betfas can defend it pretty well by just having nice micro and honestly just knowing how exactly to defend. So main thing right there was just stacking the archers, of course. Against any Lightning matchup, you can usually stack archers in the same lane, because obviously Lightning doesn't get the same value on the archers that maybe a Fireball or arrows would. Betfas might Xbow here. Yeah, exactly. He does go for an Xbow. I had a feeling, because Surge TS just went with a super aggressive RG plus Lightning push. Or not Lightning, sorry, but just RG push, which was very aggressive. And so Betfas does get a well-deserved punish here. So usually I don't think the RG player should be playing that aggressively, although unfortunately Surge TS goes for a pretty nice log to clip Betfas' cycle card there, which he was trying to predict the archers, or protect the archers with. And now Royal Ghost at the bridge. Betfas is going to have to go for a Knight, but he is going to be pretty low in elixir, and I'm sure Surge TS can kind of tell because of that timing that Betfas went with the Knight on, so maybe he'll be able to tell he's up elixir. We'll see what he chooses to go for, but definitely as the RG player, if you are too aggressive with your RG in single, Xbow player can definitely get a connection, as Betfas did, and so that's something you want to watch out for as an Xbow player as well, where if they are super aggressive in single, you can obviously go in when they won't be able to cycle back to RG that easily. But Lightning comes in by Surge TS here. Really nice Ice Spirit. Really cool. After the buff, Ice Spirit's so good against Archer Queen, actually, because if you use it early enough and they're not ready for the ability, they can actually just fully deny the Archer Queen with help of the tower and something else. So Ice Spirit Skeletons, for example. Also, looks like Surge TS is pretty much just Lightning cycling, and Betfas is pretty much just Fireball cycling in response. Yet another aggressive Lightning out of Surge TS there. And he is kind of catching up in damage because, again, Lightning does more damage than a Fireball. Lightning does like 420 or so, I believe. Betfas is just firing back with the Fireballs, though, and Center Teslas. So really nice Center Tesla there will help out against this Royal Giant. Ice Spirit gets a very nice freeze in there, and Fisherman is going to go on the Tesla, which is really good, actually, because the Knight was able to DPS down the RG, and Tesla was basically dead anyways. But second Tesla cycled back to by Betfas here, but this is not a great situation, because he just used his Tesla. Surge TS is definitely going to go in with another RG here, because Betfas is not back to a Tesla. Okay, apparently not. I feel like he should. Looks like he just chooses to Lightning instead. But I feel like that would have been a really good punish opportunity. Betfas goes for high archers. This is something you see him do a lot against any Archer Queen matchup, but especially Royal Giant, where you can just snipe it across the river with your archers, force the ability out early, and that way you can kind of not have to worry about the ability on defense. But Defense Expo comes in because Surge TS is electing to use lots of Lightnings here, so Betfas is making the most of it. Surge TS choosing to just Lightning the tower plus Knight, not even trying to hit the Expo, which actually puts him in the damage lead for the first time in this match. And E-Spirit is just barely caught by the Knight there, almost jumped onto tower. But we're going to have to see some crazy spell cycle by Betfas here, and we do, so Fireball Log once again, but I don't see how he can outdamage the Lightning cycle. That's going to be my main concern here. Surge TS goes for an RG at the bridge, and Fisherman up high. Anti-Lightning Tesla, very much a key play in this matchup. Looks like Betfas is just not allowing Surge TS to get any Lightning value on the tower. Back to a second RG here, but I believe Betfas is, in fact, back to a second Tesla here. And Surge TS being pretty aggressive with his support cards like Fisherman and Log. So he actually doesn't have enough for the Lightning there, which actually might be a small mistake, because you can see Betfas is in the damage lead right now, because Surge TS is just pushing without Lightnings, and that is not exactly what he wants to do, because he needs to catch up in damage, and Betfas is electing to just spell cycle on the tower, and that is obviously going very well, because he's actually about to pick up the win here. Another Fireball comes down, and Ice Spirit to stall the Ghost, I believe. Yeah, Knight comes in down in time, but Log would have been enough as well, so really well played. I feel like that's a pretty difficult matchup with the Queen in there for the 3-card cycle, but Betfas just played it pretty much perfectly. Nice win against Surge TS, going to put him at 8,028 trophies, just top 100 in the world on the dot. Alright guys, so hopping into the third match here, up against Kalja de Arena, who's actually going to be Sandboxed, a pretty well-known pro player, very talented player, and looks like it's going to be Royal Giant Lightning again, the same exact deck that we just went up against Surge TS. Really lucky that the Ghost doesn't get another hit on the Tesla there, because that will allow it to basically fully counter the RG with, once again, like I said, the stacked archers, very important and integral in the RG Lightning matchup. And honestly, this is a matchup that I personally struggle with, so it's really nice that I get to see Betfas play these games, and also that you guys get to see, I guess, Xbow Opposite by Betfas, and really nice Hunter by Sandbox. There's a pretty easy mistake you can make, where if you use the Archer Queen ability, the Xbow will actually lock onto tower, so it's pretty smart to know. It's not that advanced, but it's just good general game sense that you have to play something low like the Hunter there to make sure the Xbow doesn't retarget onto tower. But again, Xbow by Betfas, because Sandbox was very aggressive with the RG. I think even if you don't get a lock, it's still a good idea to go for, just because they will be forced to either Queen or go for an awkward Lightning. And if they do go Queen, ability will probably get used up, which means you won't have to worry about it counter push as much. But just Fireballs the Fisherman there, taking the damage, and Sandbox is going to be up a little bit here with this Ghost, because he will be able... He could have gone RG maybe, but maybe it would have been a bad play. I was just thinking, because Betfas Fireballed the Fisherman, and Sandbox did still have a Ghost coming down while they were even on Elixir. But it's going to be a pretty tricky defense. Low Tesla out of Betfas, High Knight separating everything to not give spell value, Ice Spirit last second, and that actually was pretty much the best defense he could have asked for. He does take 2 RG hits, but considering again he was down Elixir, and that was such a tricky push to navigate around, I would say that was extremely well played by Betfas there. Unfortunately, Sandbox is back to an RG. I believe that was at least partly the Queen's 3-card cycle helping out there. And because I honestly didn't think he was back to an RG in time. I guess Betfas didn't either. But still, Log back on the RG is able to get the job done. Log is a very important card against Royal Giant. And looks like, again, Betfas with the idea to take out the Queen before it crosses the bridge, forcing the ability early. And just really nice counterplay to the Archer Queen by Betfas, which you guys can use as well with your 3.0 Xbow Cycle gameplay. But another Fireball on the Ghost there, pretty unconventional Fireball because you never really Fireball a Royal Ghost, but in this matchup it makes sense. As we saw in the game against Surge TS, it definitely became a Spell Cycle matchup, and any of this damage is going to matter. But, okay, Lightning by Surge TS, and that Ice Spirit was so good. I think this is actually going to be a really nice connection for Betfas. He's going to have to get a Knight down perfect to block the Archer Queen, and Queen ability gets popped, but Xbow is still being kept alive, and amazing protection against the Queen there, amazing Log as well, and Xbow's going to be on tower. This connection is going to be everything for Betfas. Goes for Hunter, and Betfas protects and blocks with the Knight, and just like that, Betfas is back in the lead, so that was absolutely perfect, and that basically stemmed from Sandbox going with that Lightning and actually missing Betfas's tower. So a very important moment there, and again, just very useful Ice Spirit to freeze the RG before the Tesla comes up. Actually kind of a smart play by Betfas. So what will we see here? I'm going to guess either Knight or Archers or Defensive Xbow. Yeah, there's the Knight. Obviously, you can't really go into a Fisherman, and so just Defensive Xbow. By the way, in this match, this is, again, anti-Lightning Defensive Xbow placement. You have to know these placements if you want to play Xbow. He used the same one in the other match against Surge TS, but that was in the opposite lane. So, you know, just both lanes being showcased here for you guys to know, because if you're up against these spells, you're going to have countermeasures. RG in by Sandbox, and Betfas does offensive Xbow. I was going to say, would he Xbow with this? And actually, prediction Fireball. Now he's going to have to let the Xbow die, I'd say, because of that Fireball. But looks like he saves Archers for the RG. I think he's going to use Knight on this Ghost. Yeah, he is. And Archers plus Tesla do a great job against the Royal Giant, but Sandbox is back to another RG. So really good Fireball by Betfas, actually. I think Sandbox just popped the Queen ability. The Betfas is back to Tesla, and just like that, he's still in the lead after Sandbox went for a Lightning. So Betfas is going to go for a Fireball. Looks like Sandbox is trying to Spell Cycle him back. Will he go for another spell, or will he try and go for an RG push? Looks like he is going for the RG push, but if Betfas can defend this perfectly, he'll be fine. Goes for Archers, then High Tesla, again anti-Lightning. Ice Spirit as well to freeze the Royal Giant. We do need to see a Log there, and we do, and a Fireball just barely last second, inching it out and getting the nice win. So Betfas just absolute masterclass on RG, 2 matches in a row. If you guys were struggling with this matchup, this is how you want to play it. I'll definitely use this as well. And that is going to be 2 wins in a row and putting Betfas at 8,071 trophies, number 68 in the world. Alright guys, looks like Betfas has absolutely no plans on continuing the ladder grind, and so I'm pleased to be continuing the videos, or rather the matches. It's just going to be one video, but Minion's first play and then followed up by a High Tesla. Very curious as to that High Tesla. Wonder what Betfas was going for there, because surely he... I don't know if he actually knew what this opponent was playing, but Fireball in for the Giant and Balloon, and now Balloon's going to lock on the tower, but Betfas is going to have the expo opportunity of a lifetime here. Yeah, because the opponent is going to be very low. Minion's forced out. Does Betfas have an Ice Spirit? And he does. So, really nice freeze coming in, and this damage is absolutely crucial, because, you know, Betfas just took a ton. He obviously has to take damage back. And so he is actually going to get all the damage back and even more. So I guess that was worth it if you think about it. That was basically just simplification. They both traded damage, but Betfas got more out of it, and they're basically even on damage now, which is obviously favorable for Betfas, because I believe this deck is going to be Giant Balloon with the freeze in there, and no big spells. So it's going to be very tricky, of course. Giant was buffed. Xbow isn't that good. to break through against this kind of deck, and Tesla was nerfed quite a few times, so it's going to struggle against defending this entire push. Lots of heavy lifting just for one Tesla, but we'll see Tesla coming down here. I think we might also see a Fireball, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, we actually do see an Xbow. That was the other thing he could have done. Either a Fireball on the balloon back, but Xbow instead. And actually, very nice log there. I was going to say it seems aggressive, but it was really good because, in a way, Betfas probably just cycled log next play anyways. So even though he is down a bit of elixir, just that really smart recognition and fast reaction time and fast thinking got him another like 400 damage. But oh my god, looks like a giant balloon push is inbound once more by the opponent here. Skeletons, though, doing a lot of work, actually, and minions do push the balloon, so we're going to have to see a Fireball or an Xbow here. We do see an Xbow. I guess that's actually better than the Fireball, because now we can get a nice Fireball on everything. Yeah, so arrows come in, but perfect last-second Fireball gets the death damage off the tower as well, I'm pretty sure, yep. But now Betfas is down, a little bit of elixir, and the cycle isn't the best, so we're going to have to see how he can defend this. Yeah, just so aggressive with this. Looks like he is punishing Betfas for not having Fireball, but I think Betfas is back to a Fireball now. So we will see a Fireball to protect that Tesla as well, which will actually deter a balloon for the next 30 or 20 or so seconds. It looks like the opponent chooses to swap lanes here, but Betfas is back to another Tesla. And freeze comes down, not going to be the freeze he was looking for, I'd say. Yeah, even Betfas is confused because the other Tesla was still alive. You know, freeze didn't just kind of stalled it out, but didn't actually do much because it still stayed alive, stalled the balloon long enough that both towers took it out. The Betfas goes for an Xbow here. Looks like he is kind of willing to just let it go, but he is committing lightly to it with the log, with the skeletons. But notice, no major cards being committed to it, no Teslas, no archers, because he is going to save them. And balloon opposite by the opponent, but we can just see a Tesla and then an Xbow, and if the opponent chooses to freeze this Tesla, he will not have anything for the Xbow. So giant forced to come down here, but we could see a Fireball possibly. Okay, instead we see log and Ice Spirit. Unfortunately, the freeze does clip the Ice Spirit, but Ice Spirit still jumps, just barely in time, and Xbow is slowly ticking away. Also, notice Betfas, with these logs on offense, with these Xbows, has just been slowly chipping away with logs, and Minion Horde, I guess, last-ditch effort, but obviously not the play. Didn't have any elixir for that Xbow. Both give the GG. Going to be a really nice win against a tricky matchup. Not hard, but tricky to play, I'd say. That's going to put Betfas 1 off 8,100. Alright, like I said in the last one, Betfas has absolutely no plans on stopping, getting right into the next match against Saudi, who is going to be one of the best Mortar players in the game. We did get a little bit late to this match, but looks like we just missed a bit of cycling by Betfas and then a Mortar first play by Saudi, and Betfas chose to defend with the archers and the Tesla, it looks like. But Skelly King is coming in now, and that ability is going to be pretty menacing. Log is going to be forced out, looking like it's going to be Skeleton King Mortar bait deck. The question is he going to have Cannon Cart in here? Is he going to have... There's this new meta one going around with like arrows and magic archer, but no big spell, which I believe Xbow can actually win against just because of the virtue of them not having any big spells. But we'll see. Tesla comes in to counter the Mortar, and just a solid 4 for 4, pretty much what you want as the Xbow player. Thing is, usually they try to predict the Tesla with like bats, Skarmy, so usually you do cycle stuff low. At least that's what I do, but it looks like early on in the match it doesn't matter as much. Ice Spirit comes in for those bats, and maybe we'll see an Xbow out here by Betfas because we do have a counter push. Okay, Magic Archer comes down. We do see an Xbow opposite, actually. And Skarmy comes down plus Skelly King. So Knight by Betfas looks like he is trying to hold off on using his log, and actually going to be a pretty decent play because now goes for the log. It looks like Saudi went for the ability and did not get it off in time, but still... insane patience by Betfas waiting on that log. I think anyone, myself included, probably for the first instinct would have been to just log because it's free value plus it hits the tower, but actually that would have charged up the Skelly King and let him use the ability, and then without anything else in there it would have been tricky. But cycling back to another Xbow is Betfas, and Mortar forced on defense. Ice Spirit to freeze will reset as well, and bats come down, which sadly Betfas doesn't have the best counter to. Actually, looks like he is gonna... I thought that would be a dead Xbow, but it looks like Betfas salvaged it and forced out the Skelly King. Ability is forced out too, just gets a clean login, and back to another Xbow, plus gets like 2 ticks from that other one. It looks like Saudi does not have a cannon cart in here, because I'm quite sure he would have used it if he did already. But Miner comes in, does clip the Xbow, not the Knight. Skelly King as well, arrows. So arrows are going to be annoying for sure, but that's the only annoying thing, apart from maybe the magic archer and the bats. Betfas has pretty much everything on lockdown. He can defend really easily, and without a big spell, I believe Betfas is going to be able to win this one. So defensive Mortar met with an offensive Xbow here. Magic Archer caught by the archers, so pretty smart play by Saudi. That would have gotten a lot of tower damage, but Betfas was ready for it, caught it with both the knight and with the archers. And again, going for the side Teslas, I guess, because he doesn't want it to get splashed by Skelly King. Log immediately, look at that reaction time. And X was actually on tower, I missed that, I thought it was on the skeletons. I was wondering why they weren't dying, but another 400 or so damage coming in from Betfas, and he's just slowly chipping out Saudi. Meanwhile, Saudi's being forced to go for miners on the Xbow because of how well Betfas is pressuring, and I'm sure we'll see another set of arrows or another miner here. Yeah, arrows come down. Again, a side Tesla by Betfas. I think maybe he's just doing that because he wants to keep the Tesla alive, and playing it right at the bridge makes it pretty susceptible. Oh my god, Xbow on tower again. Another 400 or so damage. Really, really well played out of Saudi with that prediction Magic Archer. It takes a lot to predict something when you're down elixir as well, but he knew it and he went for it, and props to him. So actually, just because of that amazing prediction, he is going to be back in the game. Well, not really back in the game, but he isn't going to lose. He might have lost off that push because he was down elixir. Very important prediction to make, and he did make it. But Ice Spirit coming in, plus skeletons, and Magic Archer again at the bridge. Looks like Saudi's kind of just bridge spamming at this point. At this moment, it's not like it was a prediction anymore. It looks like he's just trying to get some last-second damage in, but defensive Xbow by Betfas here is all that's going to be necessary. Fireball taken on the Mortar plus tower, which is a really nice play. Obviously would have... Okay, looks like last card is going to be Minion Horde, so it looks like Saudi was waiting for Betfas to fireball and then punish it, but such a fast cycle with 3.0. If you have fast fingers, you can just get around to that fireball in like 5 seconds, and that's exactly what Betfas did. So, again, defense Xbow comes down, and Saudi has no counterplay. It's basically over. That's going to be GG. Wonderful match against Mortar. Basically exactly what Betfas wanted to do. Applied some really good pressure, always kept Saudi on the back foot, and took advantage of the fact that he had no big spell. Even though arrows were a bit annoying. But that's going to be another win, so many wins in a row, for 8,130 trophies, top 40 now. You're getting right into the next match against Lucas X Gamer, who is going to be a very well-known professional player. And looks like Lucas is angry, so maybe he's playing a deck that does not fare so well against Xbow. We do see a Baby Dragon out of Lucas, and Xbow opposite, really good. If they are playing Golem or something like that, that's the 4 elixir rule. If they play a 4 elixir card in the back and single, you can Xbow opposite, and they won't have enough for the Golem in time for the Xbow. Looks like it is going to be... I don't know what this is going to be, actually, because Double Dragons makes me think maybe Balloon Freeze or maybe Lava Hound, possibly, but then Gold Knight in there. Probably not going to be Balloon with the Gold Knight, since you usually do want to see a Lumberjack in there. So maybe we'll find out what else Lucas plays, maybe give us a bit more of an indication. Guards, maybe a Lava Hound deck then, with a Gold Knight in there. I have not actually seen this deck before, so I'm not entirely sure. But Betfas did get a small connection there, honestly. Pretty nice by him. He might go for an Xbow here, because Lucas is leaking. So let's see. I would expect one. Yeah, Xbow in the middle. Betfas says love his Xbows in the middle. And okay, Bowler comes down, so I think it's going to be maybe Graveyard then. Because, okay, Fireball plus Ice Spirit comes in, and looks like Betfas just barely didn't get any damage there. Bowler has so much HP, but you can see the idea. He basically just wanted to get connection in single, maybe catching Lucas off guard with that really good Fireball value, but Bowler had enough HP to not really be any kind of worry. And Gold Knight set up in the back, so probably going to see a Tesla out of Betfas. You can't really go Knight or Archers, or I guess he is going to go Knight. But as you can see, Lucas goes for the dash right away because that will dash on the tower, so you are going to have to stop the Gold Knight dash with one of your cycle cards if you do want to cycle a Knight, because it is going to be pretty annoying. But looks like Betfas outcycled the Bowler right here. Is Lucas back to a Bowler now? Or, yeah, he is back to a Bowler now. Tesla, though, perfect timing, and Ice Spirit as well comes down for the Inferno Dragon. Skeleton sadly just barely not in time, so Xbow is going to fall. If those got down in time, that could have possibly been a connection. But still, Betfas has Lucas on the back burner the entire time right here. Switches lanes, and Lucas is going to have to go for an eye drag. Was not back to Bowler. Tesla coming in by Betfas. Should see an Ice Spirit as well. Yeah, just last second to stall the eye drag. And now we should probably see a Graveyard out of Lucas, as we do. Maybe even a Freeze. He goes for a NATO. I do see the idea behind that NATO. He kind of wanted the Gold Knight to go to the tower instead of the Knight, I guess. But because of that play, he didn't have enough for the Freeze. And Freeze comes down very late, though. Not really much coming out of it. Now Lucas is angry because Xbow opposite by Betfas. Betfas gives the good game. Looks like he loves saying these early good games. Gonna let the Xbow die? No, he's not, actually. Last second Ice Spirit retarget. Betfas does love these last second plays. It's a really common thing you see among a lot of pro players who play Xbow, where with either a log, Ice Spirit, or Fireball, you knock something back or reset something where they might not be expecting it to be reset, and you can maybe catch them off guard, get a connection. But Gold Knight comes in out of Lucas, Xbow by Betfas right here. We should see a very late log, and then he is back to Archers now. I really like what Betfas did, because of that Xbow, Lucas could not afford to go for a Gold Knight NATO dash, or for a freeze. So even though Betfas did take some damage, it wasn't that much, and that is a lot of Fireball value, I was going to say. Or not a lot, but it is Fireball value enough for Betfas to take, and he does get another connection because of it. Just going to ignore the Baby Dragon, because right side tower is healthier. And once again, Xbow on the right. I think Lucas is back to a bowler at this point, or at least a Gold Knight, one of the two. Log comes down. There's the Gold Knight. Sadly, you cannot really defend the Gold Knight, honestly, against your Xbow. Like, he goes for the Knight, which works, but the main source of DPS in this deck is definitely the Archers, and Gold Knight just invalidate Archers. I'm sure you guys know Gold Knight just is annoying, but Ice Spirit Knight for the Baby Dragon should see a late login for the Graveyard, and back to Archers for the Graveyard as well. But actually that was definitely a situation that favored Lucas, because I'm sure he wanted to defend the Xbow, but with that pressure, Betfas couldn't really afford to defend. But we actually do see a connection on the left, and Betfas going for a Tesla. We might see an Xbow on the right here. Yeah, we do. Betfas, a really big, another common thing among really good players is stacking multiple Xbows, offensive Xbows in both lanes, especially when the opponent doesn't really have a way to kill your Xbows, they're rather just stalling them out. You do see a Tesla, and both Xbows are on the map right now. Prediction Fireball out of Betfas, but that's going to be basically tower down on the right. Lucas is laughing, looks like he is angry about it. Betfas, being a good sport, gives a good game though. And Lucas is not happy about that game. Maybe just a hard matchup for him, but still, really nice win against one of the best players in the world, and that's going to put Betfas at 8,160 trophies, 31. Alright guys, we're getting into the next match here against Alf QQ, Xbow out of Betfas, because Alf looks like he's leaking a little bit, and Rocket comes down. This is going to be a terrible, terrible matchup. This is also probably going to be my last game of the video, because I do have to go after this, but it has been a pleasure watching Betfas just winning games back and forth constantly, just many successful games and just playing very well. This one though is looking a lot worse already, because it is going to be Drill Rocket, which is traditionally going to be a terrible, terrible matchup for Xbow, because look at his deck. He has 2 Fast Cycle cards, and he has the Log, and he has the Drill. So Drill is guaranteed damage on tower. 2 Fast Cycle cards means he can keep up with Betfas' cycle. As you can see, you can just rocket every single Xbow. Bomber as well, another 2 Elixir cards. So Alf QQ actually has a faster 4-card cycle than Betfas, with the Log, double cycle cards, and Bomber, as opposed to Betfas having Log, double cycle cards, and then at least Archers or Knight, which is 1 more expensive than the Bomber. So very cheap deck out of Alf QQ. This Drill deck has been getting pretty popular. I believe it has Bandit and Inferno Tower as the last 2 cards, and it's traditionally, I would say, I don't know why I keep saying traditionally, but it's just a very bad matchup for sure, as I'm personally familiar with 2. We do see an Xbow out of Betfas though, because Alf QQ was pretty aggressive with that Drill. And so we do get a small connection. We could possibly see some support on this Knight. We know Betfas loves to do these plays when the opponent's down Elixir, but it looks like he's just going to let it go, actually, because, yeah, I guess that play works against, like, heavier decks, but against a deck like this, which is so fast cycle, like 50,000 cheap cards with Bomber as well, sadly that play is not really going to be viable. But another Drill out of Alf QQ, another Log, so it is very annoying. Notice these Drill plus Logs are so annoying because they do allow the Drill Goblins to get damage on the tower. Pretty much guaranteed it does push the Knight away. It's so annoying. It's like a mini Fireball with the Drill, but Log, so it's not even punishable. So Betfas is trying his best though. Looks like a prediction Bomber out of Alf QQ, but he is back to a Rocket now, I think. Yeah, he is. it's just so hard. Like, you can't outcycle the rocket at all. I think the main thing you have to do is hope the opponent overcommits and then try and catch them when they're low, or just hope they go for an Inferno Tower instead of rocket. So it looks like AlfQQ might be going for an Inferno Tower here. No, goes for a rocket again. But really nice burst of damage there by Betfas is going to put him back in the match, although he is still losing. It is still looking pretty bad because it is, again, going to be a very difficult matchup. But that was very important. Very nice connection out of Betfas. Again, going for these low knights, and very annoying log once again to push the knight out of range. But we do see another rocket forced out, and Fire Spirit comes in late. So just like that, with that one archer shot, Betfas is once again back, and of course doesn't have to respond to that Fire Spirit because it is the healthier tower. Bomber comes down. Will we see a fireball on it? Okay, looks like we'll just see a log instead. I was curious. It is going to be a negative trade. Looks like Betfas is choosing not to fireball anything at all in this match, just applying constant pressure, cycling very quickly, is willing to use his logs on offense, but not fireballs, at least right now. We do see another drill, though. Archers are going to come in, and that should clean up. I guess the one good thing is that we don't have a fireball to worry about, so you can go for archers on the drill pretty safely, not like they have a gold knight either. Now we do see a fireball out of Betfas, though, and Inferno Tower out of AlfQQ. I think defensive Xbow, okay, AlfQQ should probably just rocket tower here, yeah, because again, he has a super fast cycle. He does not have to care about that Xbow. Then again, it is going to be triple elixir, so this is going to be a pretty high value Xbow, because Xbows don't get much value with their low lifetime at this point, but since it is triple, elixir flows faster. Really nice log there, again, catching the opponents off guard, like I always talk about. We will see Betfas outcycle the rocket here by at least 3 cards, I think, which is very nice. So this is exactly the situation Betfas wants. Log comes in, and Xbow is going to be on tower, plus a fireball in to predict, and just like that, Betfas in the lead. Inferno Tower out of AlfQQ. We do see skeletons, archers take up the Inferno Tower, then Xbow. We cannot afford to let AlfQQ just go for these aggressive plays and rocket cycle us. He is going to once again be forced to rocket the tower, so I believe Betfas can just fireball, and even with another rocket on tower, I think it's not going to do enough damage. We are going to have to see some perfect defense, though, on this drill. Okay, I think Betfas should get a fireball down just barely in time, and he does. So rocket comes in. Looks like the fireball was necessary, but oh my god, guys. Going to be a flawless final match for Betfas to win against one of the hardest matchups in the meta, against one of the best players as well, AlfQQ, very well known, and that's going to put Betfas at 8,189 trophies, number 21 in the entire world. Just unbelievable gameplay out of Betfas today, and I'm really glad to say that I was able to watch it, bring it to you guys live here on the channel, and commentate over it, so I hope you guys enjoyed. It is always a treat to get Betfas on the channel and to watch him. He is so talented, and he wins against all these crazy matchups all the time. Constantly one of the best Xbow players on ladder. Like, if you ever see 3.0 Xbow Cycle being number 1 in the world, it is almost always going to be Betfas, especially if it's late season, I would say. So just unbelievable out of Betfas here. Really glad again to get him back on the channel, and I am again feeling a bit better. Thank you guys a lot for all the positive comments on my last video. Glad you guys still enjoyed the latter video. Even though I didn't commentate, I'm glad some people still enjoyed it. And yeah, I've been thinking about quite a lot of stuff. I'm definitely feeling a lot better than last week in terms of my mental health and personal stuff. I think I'm definitely just kind of feeling back to normal and just back in the groove, ready to make videos, ready to have fun and do stuff. But I guess I'll leave more of that for tomorrow's video, which is going to be a full 12-win classic challenge with 3.0 Xbow Cycle once again every Sunday. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video, guys. Betfas, number 25 in the world, unbelievable. Only a few days left in the season, so he should definitely be poised for a great performance at the end of the season. But yeah, that's going to be it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you were able to learn something. I'm sure you were. Take care. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.